I recently saw a YouTube short where Nikhil Kamath, the co-founder of Zerodha, was talking about how he is investing in luxury brands and his value statement is
So we are trying to create an
Promote that.
ecosystem of all these Indian first brands and say don't buy LV Gucci, buy Indian.
now. I generally agree with the guy, but I think there's a bunch of things that this particular messaging and call to action falls short of, mainly because I feel it shows a lack of understanding of what luxury brands stand for. The thing about luxury brands is that they are about one thing, and that's legacy. But how could you build a legacy for a brand? Allow me to walk you through the 5 steps that you can start working on right now to build the next LV and Gucci in a real sense. Let's start with legacy. This means that your brand has to be built on a heritage of some sort. You know, the kind where you are able to write since 1854, since 1921, since 1853, and so on. In order to do that, you could probably try buying an old shelved company or assets like registered trademark and naming rights. Yes, it's a bit of a nominal legacy, so to speak. Like it's literally name related legacy at this stage. And that's quite alright because this gets you access to the second most important thing, and that's the story. Now, the story could be anything. As you know, it's a bit typical, but it's generally a young guy or gal who came from a village with nothing but the clothes on their back, who started selling something to make ends meet, but then eventually got good at it, went on their own way and started making the same products in-house. It was good at the start, but it was rare and they had capacity issues because of the fact that they were only, say, 2 or 5 people scaled up over the years at the most. But what they did was maintain the quality, which means when faced with inflation, instead of decreasing the quality and increasing yield, they increased the prices and kept the yields the same or had very incremental yields, which led to the artificial scarcity, and hence a perceived value of these products was increased. Over time, they increased the prices to cross inflation levels as they attracted more affluent buyers, and over the next 50 or 100 years or so, have gotten a stamp of being trusted. But just old doesn't mean epic, does it? This brings us to the third aspect, being handmade. As you can refer back to the second point, the young lady or lad started by making something with their own hands and the hands of local artisans and craftsmen. Why does it matter who makes the product? Well, it gives you 2 things. One is the fact that when an actual human labor is involved, there is an expectation of careful quality checks. The design is not only meticulous but also emotional. It means that the product that is made by someone and not something. Because when something is made by a thing, you could probably make a lot of it. But something is made by someone, there is an actual physical limitation to it, which adds to the novelty factor, which also adds to the rarity factor of it all, eventually increasing the perceived value of the product and also by extension the brand. Now, utility wise, there is no expectation of outperformance or endurance here, but an artisan executing their craft gives the product the brand, a personality trait for which the buyer can resonate himself with. Most probably, to create a product, an artist is using whatever is available to them readily, locally, and consistently. Which brings us to the fourth point, which is locally sourced raw materials. This again does a bunch of things for the brand. One is it shows a differentiated identity of sorts because it's gonna add the character of that geography to the end product. This means there could be a possibility that seasonality can alter the production, affecting the final output. The look and the feel, the color and the texture, all of these things could be different for different products. This means that every next product could be ever so slightly different than the previous one. What this could potentially do, especially for products like accessories and apparels, is the formation of various patterns on the surface of these products. Lastly, scarcity. You need to produce high enough that half of your target group can buy it, but low enough that the other half is left a little hanging. Maybe there is a pattern or a shape or a color patch that looks unique enough that a one-off product might have an astronomically high value. Think Jesus on a bread kind of situation. That again is going to give you the chance that maybe one day your product gets auctioned at a Sotheby's or a Christie's, giving you the kind of PR that is going to elevate your brand to the next level. Or you could just get a couple of snooty celebrities to wear it. I know that's been known to help too. Obviously, you have scarcity tactics like having tiered buyer circles. The kind where, for example, Ferrari won't even let you buy a new Ferrari directly from them. You need to own a bunch of second-hand Ferraris first, and mind you, these are more expensive than the newly released ones.
That you can't just go buy a Ferrari. You have to buy a used one first.
They want to know that you love Ferrari for the love of Ferrari. They want to know that you're gonna respect it and not think of her as just another car where you would drive it like a ravaged maniac and get into fender benders. They want you to be the representation of the ideal client that they feel they deserve. These are the factors that end up building a legacy of the brand right now, but also over time. So do let me know in the comments below if you want us to talk more about these kinds of strategies in the next videos. But here's the main point. Building a luxury brand is not the same as producing mass market products and simply pricing it obnoxiously high. Obviously, that's not legacy. That's just bloody expensive. Think Supreme products or movie theater popcorn, for example. It just doesn't make sense. It's not gonna have a lasting legacy. So before you rag on luxury brands like LV or Gucci, think about what went behind making these products and building these brands. It's not what they cost to make right now, but what they represent at a whole. Years of long history of design, innovation, personality, character, and local identity. It's only when you do all these things right for that long that you can ever think of building a luxury brand. Not to mention the fact that secret sixth ingredient, and that is time. You are simply going to need 50 plus years to build a legacy brand starting right now. And in my opinion, the only brand that's doing all the right things in all the right places in India is Sabyasachi. Established in 1999, they use a mix of traditional Indian designs with modern motifs. So the Indianness factor of it gives its unique ethnic identity, derived from the royalty of Maharajas and the simplicity of normal Indians. This also makes it almost impossible for anyone else to imagine an LV or a Gucci or a Prada making an Indian lehenga the way Sabyasachi does. An Indian bride would rather have a Sabyasachi that costs probably a little less than having an LV gown right now. This shows how strong that brand positioning has been, and it's all thanks to the fact that they do portray the image that they are handmade. They use local materials, traditional artisans sitting there weaving their products for weeks, if not months, and even in some extreme cases, maybe a year. So, to ensure that your product is unique to your own self, they are putting in a lot of effort. It also has the prestige value of being a single use product, but it also has the potential to be passed down in family across generations and being used only, say, once or twice every 2 or 3 decades for centuries. It's a brand associated not with a product but with a feeling. And that feeling is what luxury products are all about. They're not about materials as much as we would like to think they are. But ironically, that feeling is culminated due to the amalgamation of legacy, material, craftsmanship, scarcity, and time. Now, if you're looking to make your own legacy brand, we are open and available for consultation. Let us know if you want to launch your own local brand online or offline, and we will help you to do it in the leanest ways. The best way to reach out to us is by simply going on easycommerce.com/YouTube. That's esycommerce.com/YouTube. Fill out the form and we'll get back to you, say, in the next 24 hours or so, and probably get on a call with you in the next 48 hours. Be sure to share this video if you think it's relevant. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us today, and have a nice day.